All right, in this video, we're going to be doing some color pencil work. We're going to talk a little bit about burnishing and definitely layering. You did some of these layering techniques all the way back when we did our coloring unit, the color theory where we layered your color pencils up. But I want to talk a little bit about burnishing and kind of how that works as well. So as we set up your media studies, we're going to use those basic forms, set them on the table. Mine are out in front of me instead of under this camera. And we're going to be kind of talking about how to create light and shadow and shifting color with your color pencils. And then burnishing those colored pencils. All right. So to get started, I am just going to very, very lightly 2H pencil, utilize my pencil to kind of give me a sense of where my forms are at. I've got a sphere in here. I'm just going to do 2 forms, and I've got a pyramid that is kind of sitting behind my sphere. Boy, I can't even see my own line. My light's a little bit to the left, kind of coming forward. My shadows are sort of starting to conglomerate a little bit at the base. Now I want to tweak where that sphere is at. A few extra lines in here. And just kind of barely get that laid in. I'm gonna always do a rounded form, cylinders or spheres, so that you definitely get an idea of range and what the burnishing does as you work. And my pyramid is just a smidge off center, so I do want to fix that because that's gonna drive me a little bit crazy if I don't get that laid out right. Okay, so in order for the camera to pick up my colors, I think I'm gonna do something dark. Depending upon your teacher, you may have a certain color palette that they want you to develop. That would be a great idea. I think I will do, how about complementary colors? So I'm going to do my sphere in blues. So I can use the, wait, that's the violet. The dark blue, the light blue, the white, the black. I could even work in the brown on this sphere. I could also work in the opposite color, which is going to be the orange. For the pyramid, I'm going to work in orange, maybe a little smidge of some red orange in there. I could also use the white, the black, and the brown, and I may use a little bit of the blue to make some tones for my colors. Okay, so I'm going to start with my dark side of my form, and I'm going to kind of try to get the objects so that you can at least see where I'm going in here. And I'm going to use, instead of a really heavy pencil line, I'm going to use the color that I'm working with, and I am going to start to put a form shadow in place so you can kind of see where I'm at. In the end, I am going to try to keep the focus off of the contour line and just use my color shifting and gradation to create variations to my values as well as my colors to create my sense of form. So again, notice I'm kind of moving my hand around the page, and I'm just starting to put a very, very light layer of some blue in here. Okay. And this is where from time to time you may find you want to speed me up just a little bit because I'm just going to do this video full out. I'm not going to pause and do some quick motion till I get to the other object. Okay. All right, so I have a little bit of blue laid in. I know I'm gonna put some lighter blue as I transition into my highlight. If I am gonna do this with just the black and the white pencil and my light blue and my primary color blue, then I'm not gonna use those orange pencils or the brown at all. That's a decision I right now need to start making so I know how I want to finish this thing out and what colors I want to be using and integrating into my sphere. So I need to think a little bit about what I want to do. I think I am just going to keep using the white and black and no browns or complements to create my variation for this one. Okay, so already you've seen me kind of layer some blues and then put some light blues straight on the white. I haven't put any pencil up at the top here yet, but I am going to come back and sandwich in. I probably need to go sharpen that blue pencil, but I'm going to kind of sandwich or layer some of that dark back on top of its own self, but also on top of the light blue. Okay, so remember when we do the layers, you want to also make sure you're changing the direction of the pencil so that you don't get streaky stroke marks and white of the paper left behind in the end. All right, so now I got to kind of match up that edge, that contour layer. I need to build this up just a little bit more. Okay. Come around. I want to see how that looks on your camera for you. Not bad. It's a little strokey looking on the camera through here. I'm not seeing that so much in person. Camera is going to pick up more contrast than my eye is going to, so I do want to kind of like make sure I'm allowing for some of that as I make this video for you. So on this edge, I am going to just kind of bring my pencil around just to kind of define it just a smidge with some color right there. Okay, cast shadow. I don't necessarily want to go in no holes barred hard, mostly because one, I may find I want to shift that shadow around, but two, my shadows merge together and it's really kind of hard to tell where they're like what's going on in between them as far as who's going to lay down where, and when they overlap, that's going to be really bizarre. So I may decide to go ahead and make all of the shadows for both of these kind of a dark navy-ish blue, or maybe I blend some of the oranges with the blues and the blacks to make that shade. Okay, so as I want to kind of keep playing and layering with color, I may even bring a little bit of the black pencil. Oh man, he's got a really sharp edge on him where I'm trying to use it. I don't want him quite so linear and quite so sharp. But I could go ahead and work some of this black into the form. I could just use it only in the cast shadow. Just depends what I want to try to kind of play around with. So I'll put a little bit in here, but I'm not going to go crazy with the black in there because I really just am going to want this cast shadow to have a good contrast to the actual form itself. Oh, that line is driving me nuts. Okay, let's see if I can kind of patch that in just a little bit. Oh, it made a dent. Another reason why you want to stay really light at hand with your pencils as you start to build that shading in. Okay, now the white. We talked about this as we did your monochromatic color theory page where you were making tints. So I remember I haven't touched that area yet with any colored pencil. So I am gonna, this guy's got a really funky edge on him too. I am gonna try to put, there we go, some white pencil down in that zone that I do want to have stay white. And then as I do that, I'm gonna kind of like come out from that highlight and work a little bit of white pencil into my light values, my light blues. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take that white on out or on to the mid value. Okay, now that's mostly so that I can get, if I want to do any more blending with another pencil of color on top, I can still kind of work that in. And it's gonna start to mix visually over so that I get kind of a nice lightish blue in that zone. This already is a nice lightish blue, but it's gonna help build the density of the color so that I won't have so much texture of the paper coming through. So right now it looks really soft because I have all this like grittiness in the paper here. So in order to kind of get away from that grittiness, I can do what's called burnishing. So burnishing here, we have a lot of different tools as artists that we can use to burnish something. If I was in a drawing class, like drawing 2, I would probably be using what's called a colorless blender to help me do some burnishing. The colorless blender is literally just like a solid wax of a colored pencil with no pigment, no white in it, and it'll help blend or bleed the colors together. Right now I am working on a piece of cardboard so that gives me just a little bit of a padding. If I try to burnish with this, you're going to end up seeing the burnishing, but you won't see it quite as good as if you did this on your desktop. So I'm going to burnish kind of like this top half and leave that bottom half alone. And I'm literally going to drag my white color pencil around through the whole form, and it's going to really start to blend or mix the wax that is below in the blues and that black that I put in. And I'm going to get kind of a more pasty, almost whitish pasty kind of look with the colored pencil up here. It is going to start to look a lot smoother in the end. The form's going to look to appear to be smooth. The white is a nice way to blend and use your pencils. But remember, you will get kind of a whitish like haze over the top of the whole form. Okay. And again, you'll see this a lot better on your tabletop at school or on something that doesn't have a mat or a surface with a little bit of cushion to it. And then I'm just going to start pressing as I build up some layers. Then I'm just going to start pressing really hard. So where it says in your book something about applying heavy pressure. So now I'm going to kind of come in and really start pressing and layering. I wanted to be a little bit careful about how quickly I got to this heavy pressure because I didn't want to put lines and dents into my form. Okay, so as I bring this around, maybe you can kind of see a difference in the surface quality. This has a little bit more of that paper look kind of coming through on this side, right through here. I hope you can see that. And this side looks a little smoother overall. I could do the same thing in the shadow, but instead of burnishing with the white, I may find I want to start burnishing with the colors that I'm using so that I don't stay too pastel-y or too light in the actual form itself. Once you've done burnishing, there's kind of no going back. There's no erasing little stray marks or kind of pulling anything kind of off an edge or kind of tweaking or controlling like this little stuff I have on the sides. Any of that I need to do prior to burnishing. And I think a lot of students kind of forget about that, and they think, oh, I'm gonna do all this stuff, this heaviness, and then I'll just go back and kind of fix it or tweak it. Just keep in mind, there is no fixing or tweaking after you get so far. You're not gonna be able to pull it off, okay? So I wanna bring back in, I think I just cut through my sphere there. I'm not paying too close of attention like I should. I'm also sitting sideways to what I'm working on, which makes it look a little bit bizarre to me. I like to be right where that camera is, and I can't be. I gotta be off to the side just a smidge. So I think I kind of like flattened out. Let's see, can I see it? Oh yeah, I totally flattened that out. See how this looks really flat right here? I lost the roundness to my form. But because I've got so much locked in there already, even with like trying to erase it, I'm gonna probably not be able to pull much of that out. But because my color palette's pretty close, I might be able to kind of fix that just a smidge. Let me see, I can't see around my camera. So we'll try to put a little bit of some blue, light blue back in. Get a little reflected highlight maybe. This side I haven't burnished yet, so I've got a chance over there to kind of correct it. But it's not going to be really great because I already burnished some of that on the top right, but maybe a little bit better. I kind of got it a little bit more round. So basically I'm going to be building these up back and forth until I get the mixture that I'm looking for. Again, this side here, unburnished. And it still looks really great. This side up here is burnished. And again, I'm using layers to build everything up. So I'm gonna pause this video and then I'm gonna go into a quick video and I'll try to like get this whole thing kind of finished the way we would like for you students to have these completed.